morning and happy Easter. Yes, it is Easter Monday, and I hope all of you had a very, very good Easter weekend despite what's going around. But yes, this is the perfect time to get your family together, and if you have someone like myself, young kids at home, I mean. And unfortunately, we can't visit our parents or friends and family like we usually do, but we have technology these days, so we're relying on these video calling things, Zoom, FaceTimes, and so I hope you guys get some chance or get some opportunities to have a chat with your loved ones, families abroad or nearby, whatever. But anyway, happy Easter, that's what I want to say. All right, good morning, David. You are very, very on time. That's perfect. Right, okay, so I actually haven't really quite prepared for today's stream because I spent the weekend with the family doing things, and it was quite fun because we had because we can't go out, so we have to do things inside, and so we did the little Easter egg hunts with the kids inside the house. We hide them around, and it was really, really funny. Let me know what you guys did, and then how you got on with your Easter weekend, and what you guys doing today. Are you going to go somewhere in the garden or in your house to explore a little bit of photography, like macro and stuff like that? Let me know what you're going to do. That would be cool, because I'm going to do something may challenge me later on tonight, because I set myself a challenge, and also I challenge a lot of my YouTube followers to have a long exposure or handheld long exposure shot. It's not a competition, but it's just for fun, to see how long you can handhold a shot, because a lot of you guys now have cameras, or most of the latest digital camera will have some kind of stabilization one way or the other, whether it's a lens based or whether it's body based. But majority of the mirrorless cameras nowadays would have an in-body stabilization. So I just want to have some fun, see how long you can handhold your photograph. I already got some into my inbox yesterday, and some of them I couldn't believe my eyes, because they claim, but I did also check the EXIF data, just make sure that they didn't lie to me. The longest I have seen so far is 10 seconds. Well, I'm gonna challenge myself to see whether I could actually do longer than 10 seconds. So that at the moment is the longest record. That will be fun, right? And so if you have something like Olympus system, like this, would have 7.5 stop if you use the Sync IS. So that means that if your lens have stabilization itself and the body combined will have a 7.5 stop worth of stabilization. But even without lens stabilization, you should still be able to get 6.5 stop on the EM1X, EM1 Mark III that I'm filming on right now, and just normal 6 stops on an EM5 Mark III, but still good enough to do at least a couple of seconds for sure, because I've done easily a couple of seconds on the street, but 10 seconds seems to be quite a challenge. So I need to try it out to see whether it works or not. But mind you though, like how stabilization usually works is depending on the focal length, because the longer the focal length, the stronger the stabilization needs to get a stable or shake-less shot. And just simple physics, there's no denying about it. So if you so happen to have a 300 millimeters zoom lens, the shutter speed has to be high, and the stabilization will be kicked up to the maximum to counter the shakiness from the lens. So but having said that, that means that it will work best with wide angle. So if you use a wide angle lens like 7 millimeters, 14 millimeters, 12 millimeters, you should be able to get a relatively long shutter speed without having to cause any blurriness in the photo. Good morning, Trevor. Hi. Excellent to see all of you guys, and I hope you're already awake for Easter Monday. I actually slept in this morning, and I got a little bit late. That's why, you can see, actually my hair is still kind of sticking up a little bit. And then I haven't really prepared for today's stream, not to the extent that I have anything to show you guys, but I have some photos, so we can talk a little bit about it. But yeah, today's topic, I did think about it when I was brushing my teeth this morning, is that I'm going to talk about lenses, because I think a lot of people may find it interesting to see, when they are going to invest in a system, when they just buy their first serious camera, and by means of interchangeable cameras, lens cameras, they will think about what sort of lenses they should get. Should I get a prime? Should I get a zoom? Or what sort of thing should I get? Or would I be happy just with the kit lens? And good morning, Shakam. And it is a little bit overexposed. So I just want to hide my lines and my bags, that's why. And if I want to turn down a little bit, it's going to be really horrible. Let me just show you that. And so this is a little bit under now. And yeah, you can start seeing my eye bag. That's why I'm trying to overexpose. You know, that's a typical Korean way of getting smooth skin. It's really old school stuff that I'm talking about. Good morning, Barana, or good afternoon, yes. And that's why I like it just a little bit overexposed today. Get my lines and my yeah, stubbleness gone. You know, I just wanna look good on Easter Monday, right? Yeah, okay. So yeah, today let's talk a little bit about lenses, because I got asked a lot of the time on my YouTube channel, asking, would I be happy with the kit lens? Should I get or invest a little bit more money to get a little bit better, and things like that? Well, let's break it down first. If you are truly a beginner, I would start off with your kit lens. There's no problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that, because ultimately, if you're really just starting to touch photography, and I'm not entirely sure whether you will hang on to it. So rather than wasting your money on buying the most expensive stuff you could afford, why don't you just get the beginner level camera kit with the kit lens and spend that budget going traveling and just explore the world and take some photograph there and then. And I know to a certain extent you might actually think that, okay, yeah, I'm going to this lovely places, I should get some nicer camera or nicer lenses to take sharper or better photos. But then again, you have to understand yourself like properly, whether you are capable of doing those photographs first. If you're just a beginner, very unlikely you are going to have that skill sets to make sure that you can maximize the capabilities from the lens or the camera. So you have to understand that relationship there. A better camera or a better lens doesn't get you a better photograph, so you just have to be sure about it. So that doesn't mean like if you're just pure a beginner. Good morning, Wei, because you're worth it. Absolutely. Ray, my friend, Ray is a fantastic photographer himself. He does a lot of really cool portraits, and he's a instant camera as well. He's a instant photographer. His Polaroid stuff is absolutely amazing, and check out his work, and it's really cool. So like, go back to the lenses things, and so it's simple. If you really understand photography already, by all means upgrade, because you will definitely see the quality improvement from the optical side of it. Like, for instance, a kit lens. That's like if you're buying an Olympus or Micro Four Thirds, the kit that used to come with it is the 14 to 35 or 14 to 40, 12 to 40, 3.5 to 5.6 or 6.3. These kind of like usually around this sort of range, and they're okay lenses. Don't get me wrong, they're okay for what it is, but you can't really beat a pro lens. And this is the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro. It's equivalent to all the other Nikon, Canon, like 24 to 70, 2.8 Pro lenses. If you look at it side by side, and I still remember the first time when I picked up the Micro Four Thirds camera, the EM5. It came with the 12 to 50 EZ electronic zoom lens that came with the camera as a kit. At the time, I already have a Canon system. I was working in for fully professional levels. I noticed that lens wasn't that bad, but definitely not sharp. As soon as I moved up a level to get my first prime, the 12mm f2, I could, without even comparing, just looking at the back of the screen, I really see the difference between the prime and the kit lens at 12mm. Subsequently, if you buy pro zoom lenses like these ones, the whole entire range will be improved dramatically. But then again, I just want to make sure that you really have to appreciate and understand yourself as a photographer. There's nothing better or nothing more important than understanding yourself and your capability, how much you can do with your camera and your lens. I always use the analogy of saying, I can give you a Ferrari, but you can't drive like Michael Schumacher or whoever is in Formula 1 drivers. You cannot drive like them. Doesn't matter how fast the car you have, because you don't have the skill sets to do it. So that's a better way to, I think, explaining in a way. And so there you go. I'd rather you have the budget. If you have lots of money left, go around, travel around the world. You know, practice is the only way to improve, and also understand photography. Of course, watch my channel, then you learn a bit more about photography. Of course, yeah, you know, just stay tuned, yeah. And but anyway, so lenses is important, of course. Quality is important, but make sure that you can take full advantage of those quality that comes with those professional or higher grade equipment. And you know, and also another question was asking me about camera, you know, which is the same thing. So I just go straight to the top camera like this one. And no, you don't need to. You know, in fact, you could just get the beginner level cameras, and then they can still do the same job. And then people will ask me, so why would I spend so much money on the pro camera? You can say that you can do the same thing with a cheaper camera. Well, very straightforward, because reliability is one thing, is one big thing as you move up a level, and especially if you start making money from photography, there is nothing more important than reliability alone, and that is something that I would definitely say to all of you guys. If you are making money from photography, there is nothing more than reliability alone. And that's also the why, you know, not just about speed, not just about resolution, not just about, you know, dynamic range. Those are actually secondary, to be honest, because I would say a more advanced and more experienced photographer can shoot with any camera. And then that would mean that they can pick up a like cheapo £3 camera, can still do a better job than most people would with a more expensive camera. But to them, because they make money with their tools, the tools cannot fail when they're out and about, when they're actually at the job. So that reliability alone worth a lot of money. It's almost like it's intangible. It's some sort of value that you cannot count. It's almost you're buying insurance. You just want to make sure that, you know, nothing happens to it. That is one of the reasons why the EM1X is so expensive, and because it is built for that reliability alone. And because you can kind of see that, you know, the EM1 Mark III and the EM1X is almost identical nowadays, but the EM1X is still trump over the EM1 Mark III, even because even EM1 Mark III is a newer camera, but in terms of build quality and the reliability, you cannot beat the EM1X. EM1X, it really is a tank. Similarly to the Nikon D5 or D6 for coming up, and the 1D X Mark III and the Canon system, these cameras are built for ultimate reliability. That's it. Okay, and let's see what got a couple of questions here. Burana said, got the 51.7, thank you for recommending. Yeah, glad you like it. It's really sharp, right? That lens is amazing. I do like that lens a lot. It's also quite compact, it's quite small. And but you know, I have my Olympus equivalent, which is the 17mm 1.8, also a fantastic lens, also very similar in size. Your one will be slightly wider because it's equivalent to 13 full frame. Mine will be like more like 34, so slightly more traditional 35mm, which I actually prefer. But there's nothing wrong with the 15. It's a fantastic lens and brilliant. And definitely travel and inspire what you, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So see, Ray agree, and you know, Ray's been around for long enough. You know, I know him for what, 20-something years now, Ray. Yeah, I think something like that. And he's always been a very humble photographer. You know, he knows what he's doing. His photography, I think personally, is really brilliant. And add him as a friend. Check out his work. is really cool. And his instant photography is really awesome stuff. And do check out his. I mean, I'm not an instant photographer. I have a lot of instant stuff, but I only have them for fun. And you know, I'm not as artistic in terms of instant photography as he is. So he's definitely better than me, way better in terms of instant photography. I know a couple of more friends are doing similar things as well, and that they're all really good. It was actually because Ray or all the others instant photographers who got me into like the likes of Instant Square, so Instax Squares, also like the Polaroids and stuff like that. You know, I like those 25 years. Oh wow, really? See, like, that's what I'm saying. You know, we've known each other for 25 years. That's a quarter of a decade. No, not decade, a century. Jeez. Oh my God. So man, I'm still 28. That means I met you when I was 3. Yeah. Right. Okay, let's go back to the camera side because it's quite fun to talk about this. Because I get asked so many times about, like, let's get a big camera, let's get a really cool, fantastic camera. It looks good on you, and guarantee that, how many times when I photograph a wedding, when I see the uncles and aunties would have a bigger camera or bigger lenses than I actually do. I cannot count them. It's almost at every weddings I go to. There's ought to be some people with a bigger and better cameras than I use, and it's crazy, right? It's so different compared to the old days. And when I first started photography, I remember some of the earlier weddings that I went to, because of film. Everything was film, so there aren't many uncles and auntie having bigger cameras, because back in the days it's not easy, expensive, and it's just not easy to take photograph, especially in indoor. Like, you remember, we in the film days, we were quite restrictive in terms of what sort of speed we can do. We always have to use flash gun to add a little bit of a light to the subject. This is so dim inside. There's so much you can push in negatives. There was only like 800. You can get 1600, maybe even 3200 speed films, but they were very grainy. So, like, you're almost likely to just stuck with 800. So even with the 1.4 prime lens, you're not going to get much in indoor environment. You always get color cast from ambient lights and all the other stuff as well. So it's really, really tricky to shoot. So that's why I think there weren't that many people using bigger cameras and stuff like that, because they just can't get a good shot. Might as well just let the pro do this job. Something I cannot say about today now, because everyone thinks themselves as a photographer. So, like, whenever I go to a wedding, you just see these massive big camera, massive lenses always next to me. Whenever I'm doing something, you always see these, like, lenses almost like kind of coming to the side of my head. It's almost like this. Like, when I'm doing something, there's look, there's another lens there. You're trying to get the same shot as I do, and then I can even hear the shutter sound from it, and it is as bad as that, And I can't tell you how many horrible stories I have, with uncles and aunties trying to get the same shot as I do at weddings. And despite the couple actually announced it to the guests, saying that, like, okay, there is a pro here doing his job, so just can everybody be a bit more respectful about what he does, and but nope, they wouldn't listen. And then you always hear these people coming, like, trying to fight for the space and then trying to get the same shot as you do. And then what's happening as well? They post it on Instagram and Facebook immediately. I haven't even processed my photograph. I was still taking photographs, right? And I think that's one of the challenges that we have as a pro these days, especially at weddings. It's not like what it used to be now, and it's just harder, I think, in that sense. But that's why you really need to use your creativity a lot more than normal. And during normal circumstances, you probably would be challenged by a lot of these people there. But I wouldn't mind that. I actually don't mind that, because ultimately it depends how you take the shot. A lot of people, when they do that, they probably wouldn't even know how to take a great photograph. Like, even that they're taking maybe the same angle, but the exposures, the editing, that all counts as part of the overall results at the end of the day. So that's what I want to say, and hopefully, like, I won't see this in the future. But it is getting more common, that's for sure. So any other questions you may want to ask me, and see if I can get some photograph to show you guys today. Talk about wedding, I might actually show you this shot here, because this is one at the wedding, and that's when I was working. Oh, where is it gone now? It's gone. Somehow it's gone. And let's see, it might be somewhere around here. Yep, there you go. So there we go. There's one photo of me taking photograph 2 years ago, I think this photo was. And so this is kind of like my normal working style. I was using an EM1 Mark II at the time, and that was perfectly okay. That's another thing that, I think Trevor and I discussed it, in a couple of streams earlier. We talked about weddings, as he shoots a lot of weddings as well. And Now, there is a lot of advantage using micro four thirds cameras at wedding. Not so much about low light performance, but in terms of depth of field, which a lot of people might think is a disadvantage, but it ultimately really depending on what sort of thing you shoot. For wedding photographer, actually, and I would actually tell you guys, if you want, and that having a deeper depth of field actually helps a lot in weddings, because quite likely and quite often you'll be encountering crowds indoor, and then if you're shooting, let's say a full frame using 1.4, 1.2 even, or even 2.8, yeah, not talking about ultra fast prime lenses. Let's say 2.8 zoom lens, 2470 is one of the most commonly used lenses in weddings, and 2.8 is still get a very shallow depth of field by default. So if you shoot wide open 2.8 indoor with a couple of rows of people, you can only get 1 or 2 people in focus, and trust me, I've been there. Unless you really stop down to 5.6, 6.3 even, and then and blast some sort of a flash, bounce flash from the ceiling, then you will be able to focus more people. But Micro Four Thirds has this advantage, because even you shoot with 2.8, wide open, because of the depth of field effect, being cropped, it more looks like a 5.6. That means you can utilize all the light absorbing capability from 2.8 lens, but having the effect of 5.6 equivalent, and then and so that means you get much deeper depth of field, get most of the people in focus, and that really helps. And because of that as well, so you can use either lower ISO or higher shutter speed to freeze moment if needs be. So that is important to understand. That's important to learn about the effect and also the benefits of having deeper depth of field. But for people who doesn't really quite understand depth of field in general, they always think that the shallower the better. Then you might have to think. You need to go back to the drawing board again just to start learning about photography from the start, because I've said it so many times, depth of field can be used to isolate subject, but not for every single shot, because that really defies the purpose of having the ultra fast lens. And just remember, in the olden days, the film days, fast prime lenses, the faster aperture lenses, they were really gearing up for low light photography. They weren't thinking about bokeh. The bokeh, or the shallow depth of field, it really is a byproduct of the optical illusion from a faster lens. And not that they wanted to have shallow depth of field. It's not something that they were craving for in the old days. They only needed the speed to shoot in lower light situations. But these days, everyone is thinking about shallow depth of field. Oh man, I need to blur everything out, things like that. And but you have to understand, how to use it, when to use it, or should you even using it. When I do street photography, for instance, you really should be looking out for a slightly deeper depth of field to get more things in focus, because you want to see the environment where everything is. And so a lot of the street photographers, they're still using f8, f11 even, depending on how bright the light is, to get all the everything in focus. Don't get me wrong though, like today, for instance, this sort of setup that I'm using at the moment, I'm using 1.2 on the 17mm on the EM1 Mark III. The reason is subject isolation. It's not because I wanted bokeh, just because I wanted to kind of get rid of a little bit of the clutter behind me. That's why I just do that. But it's a purposefully designed shot. Unlike sometimes you want to go outside, if there are just a lot of confusions behind the subject, you may want to isolate that. Then you use ultra shallow depth of field to blur a little bit, make your subject pop a little bit, so you can focus your subject a bit better. But not all the time. Seriously, not all the time, because you do, you're starting to making mistakes of just going for one directions, and then you're going for one sort of style all the time, and it becomes ultra boring. And then so your photography actually would starting to degrade a little bit, and then that means you don't want that to happen. You want to improve, right? You want to be a better photographer. You don't want to be getting more and more boring. And so that's one of the reasons. So let's see if I have any other questions. I don't have any questions today. You guys are super quiet today. And well, never mind. And let me continue to talk a little bit, because we've got a few more minutes before I end today's stream. So just a little bit of recap. I talked about lens choice today, and somehow I touched base on camera choices, you know, why you should not be thinking about getting more expensive stuff unless you're already advanced into a more a serious photography. You know, if you're just a beginner, you know, a kit lens should be perfectly fine. Spend the budget, spend the leftover money that you have after buying a camera to go explore the world, go traveling. Is much better than spend everything into a more expensive camera and lenses, and then you kind of lose the money, the left. You don't have money to travel, and then that means that you can't really take advantage of the equipment you just purchased. So make sure they understand that. But yes, you will see the difference. I can guarantee that once you compare a pro lens to a kit lens, and you would definitely see the improvement in the actual quality of the shots that you make. But you shouldn't, and you wouldn't be able to appreciate it unless your photography is up to this level, professional level. Well, not professional, but yeah, just be better than beginner. Once you get there, yeah, by all means, you know, I wouldn't stop you. You know, you have the budget to spend, get everything, you know, and similarly, you know, I just do the same thing. I just upgrade my lenses as and when I think I'm up to that level, or when I really do need that. But then it's slightly different in my case, because I've been working in professional environment for 15 years now. You know, I've been shooting all over the place, you know, with all kinds of cameras. And of course, in the last 4.5 years, I've been using Olympus. So I have a lot of the Olympus Pro lenses, and, you know, because I need it, you know, not so much that I would trying to say, you know, all the other lenses are crap, but I just need, for instance, I just need weather seal. I need it to be really rugged because I do bang my cameras around when I go and shoot. I need, like I mentioned, ultimate reliability. I need it to work when I go outside under stormy situation, for instance. And so I need this equipment to accompany me to my job. But I can easily use a lower grade camera, which I also have in my stock. You know, I have my the EPL9, EPL10, EM10 Mark III. I have all these cameras with me. You know, like they're all capable. You know, they might be 16 megapixel. They're very low grade in terms of not lower grade, but lower ranks in the actual catalog itself. But I can still take the EPL9, slap on a good lens, and take ultimate good photos. There's no difference to what I can take with these cameras out here. So just understand that you can see where I'm coming from. Okay, let's see what I say. It's better location, bokeh mix. It looks like you could have shot it anywhere. Absolutely, yes. And you lose interest of the location. Yep, that's. I said it so many times, Ray. I totally agree with you. And this is exactly what I said. You know, if you, let's say, if you want to do a shoot in a very beautiful location, and you really want to show that. You really do want to show that location. So if you blur everything out, you just have a tight crop of the subject, you could possibly take in the back garden without knowing it. You know, like that would mean that your subject is nice. You might get a really good portrait of him or her. You know, but then you lose the sense of the locations and everything, and that would mean that you know, everything's lost. So why go to that beautiful location if you're not going to show it, right? And so that's something you really have to do. And also, like I think I mentioned in my last streams, that when you do photography, always think of it as a series, not just one single photo at a time. And but that's probably just me as a storyteller. You know, I like to tell a story. I like to, every time I do photography, I will do a series of photograph of the same subject. So I will highlight the location, I will highlight close-up details, I will highlight features. And so it is very important to understand that aspect of it. And so, like I see a lot of photographers online even. And good morning, Michael. And it is. I personally think, when I see these photographs online, you know, people often just always show just one photo, and I can't see this series, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it, you know, depending on what sort of thing you're doing. But sometimes that I can see that I can kind of almost guess that that particular shot was taken through travel or through a series of photos that he or she may take in that location. I would like to see the whole entire portfolio to judge whether it's actually a very good series, not just judging by one photo, and because I like to see the story behind it and what sort of detail you capture with it. That is more, I think, to me, it's just slightly more interesting. And Michael, you actually have a question here. I purchased the 12 f2 over 12 to 45 Pro. Was it a wise purchase? For me, it is. Michael, I have the 12, and I love the 12. It's still one of my all-time favorites in the Michael 4 Third, and then and especially with the Olympus. I have the 12. I have the 12 to 40 2.8 Pro, and also the 12 to 40 f4, and they are both really good lenses. But I love the 12 because I think I utilize that focal length a lot more, especially for documentary filming and street photography. For longer focal length, I have the 25 1.2 and the 45 1.2, so I can use those two lenses if I really want to. But then again, you know, I'm more of a prime guy than a zoom guy. You know, I mean, I do have a zoom. In fact, this is a loaner from Olympus. I don't actually own this lens, so it's actually from Olympus. So I use it for filming, and only because of the convenience. I don't have to change the lens when it's on the gimbal, for instance. I just use this. I can also do dolly zoom, which is actually pretty cool, and so I like this. But other than that, I'm actually quite happy with prime lenses. I don't mind changing it because I like the ability that these faster lenses will give me in terms of aperture for me to shoot in a lower light situations. I just prefer that, just because I shoot, usually if I do go out to shoot, I shoot from morning to late at night, and then that means I want that flexibility there. I don't want to be hindered by the even 2.8 is fast, but it's still not fast enough compared to 1.2 or 1.8 lenses. So that will mean I can produce slightly high quality images in a lower light situation, or if I need to have using higher shutter speed at lower light situations. So I much prefer faster prime lenses than a zoom. Don't get me wrong, I love the 40 to 150. That is actually my favorite zoom lens on the entire Olympus setup. That lens, I use it a lot. That lens, because I could because it's the range, 40 to 150. Yeah, is equivalent to, in full frame, is 80 to 300 millimeters at 2.8. That range is massive, so I can do a lot of stuff with that lens, and it's tiny, it's small, and the hood is big, but the body itself is actually quite tiny. So if you think that lens is maybe too bulky for you, just take off the hood. You know, you can just use the lens, or maybe just get one of those rubber collapsible rubber hood from Amazon, you know, for like 20 bucks or something like that, and that will be quite cheap. Rather than using that big massive hood that comes with the lens itself, then you're good to go, because the 40 to 150 zoom is actually tiny. I'll show you in tomorrow's stream, not today, and because it's packed in my bag somewhere. But yeah, it is a very good lens, very ultra sharp lens. Once again, it's also MSC, which is movie still compatible, so you can take movie because the motor is silent, and it's ultra fast for tracking purposes, so you can do all kinds of tracking, whether it's sports photography or even filming, which is actually fantastic. Okay, good. So any other question you may want to ask me or talk to me, and you're welcome to do so. And if not, I am going to end my stream in 1 minute, just to say the last few words. To hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. On Wednesday, I'm going to have my usual Wednesday live stream on YouTube channel. So I'm going to put the link in the description after I finish this stream, so you can go and set your alarm clock to go and check that. Because I'm going to give you and all of you some challenge. It's fun challenge. If you haven't listened to this stream from the beginning, I actually told everybody to send me some photograph that you take handheld long exposure shot. So like, I want to see how long you can handhold a shot, regardless of lenses, regardless of camera body, brands, and nothing. Doesn't matter. I just want you to send me the photograph. If you can handhold like 10 seconds, send them to me. Even 1 second, 2 seconds, doesn't matter. I want to see a whole range of them to see what you can achieve with your camera system. And I already got one really long exposure. I can tell you the number. If you can beat that, I'm interested and curious to see. Right, this guy from Indonesia sent me this photo. It's 10 seconds long, handheld. I'm not joking. This guy using an EM5 Mark III took a 10-second handheld shot, yeah? I want to see if you guys can beat that. Doesn't matter if you don't, because it's fun to see a good variety of handheld shots. Yeah, especially I think if you're Olympus guys, and that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty amazing, and because I love to challenge myself in that. So like this competition, or not competition, I keep saying competition. This fun thing that I'm trying to do on Wednesday is just to show that how good in today's cameras in terms of stabilization, how good they are nowadays, and give you a tip. If you use a wider angle lens, you can maximize the stabilization effect for sure. So if you could use a 12 millimeters or like a 7 millimeters lens, you will be able to get a maximum long exposure shot that if you really want to. If you use a longer focal length, 25 or even like 75 or even above, you may struggle a little bit. So don't use longer lenses. If you want to just beat the 10-second exposure, use a wider lens. And then I'm going to challenge myself tonight to see how long I can handhold a shot, to see what I could do some handheld starry sky tonight. If there is some clouds, I don't know if I can do that, but let's see if I can manage to do that. Actually, Burana has a question, right? Okay, let's do that. And wondering 12, please explain. Right, they are actually both fairly similar in a way, because to 12 in the 12 and the 17, because 12 is of course in the full framework is 24, the 15 is 30. So in terms of focal length, right, it's not so much of a difference. But you got a 15 1.7. Go ahead, do the 1.7 because it's faster in terms of aperture. So you are better off with a slightly faster lens, so you can do a little bit lower light stuff. The 12 is, it's just me because I just like it, and then and it just looks better. Why? I'm going to show you now. All right, why it looks better. Right. This is why it looks better. Like, look, just look at this sexy beast, especially with the hood, and then it looks the part, right? And no. Okay, Burana, don't get me wrong, the 15 1.7 is really fantastic. I love that lens, but I just love this guy here. And then both are good lenses, both are fantastic lenses, and they just depending on what you use it for, what you use the photography for. Good morning, Ravinda. Hello, how are you? So I just love this, the combination of Pen F and the 12, even with the EM5 Mark III, these are really good combo because it's just a very, very tiny lens. It's just small and just unique. It's just really good. And then so nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with your 15 1.7. They are equally good lens. And yes, indeed, Pen F, Ravinda, is still my favorite street photography camera by far. And something that I use it whenever I go out to do street photography. I turn the mode down to mono, and I just shoot all day long with it, and I just pretended this to be a film camera. It's got that really awesome nostalgic feel to it. The whole overall form factor, all the knobs and dials, coupled with this particular lens here, or even with the 45 1.8. Gosh, man, I can shoot these combo all day long, and then it's good. And I'm just tempted to get another one of these, and they still have it. They're still on sale online, somewhere in the internet, so I'll be able to get one of those. But at the moment, I'm happy. I've got too many cameras to play with anyway, and but job-wise, like I mentioned, I still use these big bees. The EM1X is my job camera because it doesn't fail me at all. It's just super rugged, super capable cameras that I can use all day, and in any situations, and both for filming and photography. This is a fantastic camera to do or to use. Right, okay, guys, and how about Pen F Mark II? Any news? Burana, you're getting ahead of yourself, and I wish I knew. Even if I know, I don't think I'm allowed to say anything because officially I am Olympus ambassador. I'm associating with Olympus. Of course, I have signed the non-disclosure agreement with them, so I cannot disclose any future releases, even if I know. But at the moment, I can tell you that that's honest answer. I don't know about Mark II. I haven't heard anything about Mark II. I don't think there are any rumors talking about Pen F Mark II, and at the moment, I can see. So this is still current. That means, you know, after all these years, this is still a current camera. You can still get them on the internet, and I still think it's a very capable camera. Even though in terms of sensor technology, this is definitely not as good as the M1 Mark II, Mark III, even M1X. But it's still 20 megapixel, which is actually pretty good resolution-wise. If in good light, if you shoot in black and white, and I think it's very capable. To be honest, the dynamic range may be just one stop behind the M1 III 2X, but it's still very, very capable, and I love this camera. I said it so many times already. This is my favorite street camera. Full stop. This is good, and also I cannot stop saying it. It's just how beautiful it looks. It's just gorgeous looking camera. I wish it has 4K. I wish it has the same AF as the M5 Mark III. I wish it used a slightly bigger battery. I wish it has dual card slot. I wish a lot of things, but as it is, even without those things, I still think it's a very charming camera to use. And sometimes it's just quite hard to quantify, you know, in terms of a tool. You know, when a photographer likes to use something, it's quite hard to tell the reasons behind it. You know, it's something that is inquantifiable, it's something intangible. Just can't describe it, you know, in general. I believe, you know, like all of you guys will feel the same thing. You have a favorite camera of yours, you probably use it, or favorite lens, and let's make it tomorrow's subject. Let's talk about favorite cameras, shall we? So stay tuned for tomorrow, so we can talk a little bit about your favorite kit, yeah? And okay, don't forget, Wednesday, I got a live stream on my YouTube channel. Once again, I'm going to put the link in the description after the stream. It'll take me a few minutes to type it all out, but it will be there. And also, don't forget to, you can also buy me a coffee right here. And then if you want to support me, what else? And so I said, yes, long exposure challenge. And then if you want to send me the photograph with your longest exposure shots, I will be happy to display a show on screen on Wednesday's live stream. That will be awesome because it's a fun thing to do. I'm going to challenge myself tonight. I'm not going to take my tripod. I'm just going to handheld my shot and see how long I can hold it. I will show you my exit data so you can see how long I take it. That will be really, really fun. Just send your 10. Oh, Trevor is doing it 10 seconds. Woo, okay, right, let's try it. I can't wait to try it myself. Right, challenge set. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you Wednesday or sometime this week. It'll be cool. Have a great Easter Monday, and good luck with the challenge, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye for now.